This is the Highly Sensitive Person Podcast, a weekly podcast for people who experience the world brighter, louder, and more intensely. Join me on a journey of acceptance of our highly sensitive person traits. Happy Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in to episode 23 of the HSP podcast. I'm your host, Kelly, and this is a show where I talk about what it's like to be a highly sensitive person and an introvert. I do want to point that out that I am also an introvert, so for those of you who are highly sensitive extroverts, you may have somewhat different experiences or opinions than I do, so keep that in mind when listening to the show. Before jumping into the topic today of kindred spirits, I'd like to read a comment that was left on the blog by a reader named Karen. She writes, "Thanks to your blog, I've finally been able to understand myself and my children. I thought I had Asperger's or some mental illness because I'm so different than most people. I've even yelled at the top of my lungs, do people not care at all or do I care too much? Turns out I care too much in most people's opinion. Today I brought HSP awareness to my oldest son and I could see the relief flooding his face. Sometimes having someone I know well tell me I need to calm down because things aren't as bad as I make them out to be can be very helpful and grounding." Karen, thanks so much for that comment. It's so wonderful to hear from people that this podcast have helped them better understand their families, their partners, and their children. And it leads well in today's topic about friendship and kindred spirits. The first time I heard the phrase kindred spirits was from the super popular Anne of Green Gables TV movie in the mid-'80s, which of course was adapted from a very popular book. The character of Anne used the term kindred spirit to talk about intimate friends, people with whom she felt she could bare her soul. She held these people so dear to her heart and was fiercely loyal to them. Susan Cain, the author of the introvert book Quiet, used the phrase in an interview she did a while back with Marie Forleo, and I'll have a link to this interview in the show notes at highlysensitiveperson.net/episode 23. She's talking about kindred spirits in terms of a networking event. Like if you go to a networking event, a lot of people feel like they want to walk out with a fistful of business cards, and that means success to them. But for her, she's reframed networking, and she thinks about it in terms of kindred spirits. She goes through the world looking for these kindred spirits and feels like there's always at least one at every party or event. It's a person you really connect with and want to be with, want to get to know, and you want to stay in touch. You have chemistry. And we go through life that way, collecting kindred spirits, people we feel connected to in our heart. And all of this rings so true to me. I don't have, and I've never had, a lot of really close friends. I usually have maybe one or two really good friends at a time. Of course, I have more friends than that, but not people I'd consider kindred spirits. There are still people that I like and that I think are good, nice people, but I don't have that deep connection with them. When I'm at a party or an event, I'm just looking for that one person that I can have an interesting conversation with. And it doesn't have to be something super deep and intellectual or serious, nothing like that, just some conversation that's not completely surface, something that's interesting. And the older I get, the more important I think it is to find that connection with people. When I do meet someone and have that connection, I'm almost giddy. You know, sometimes us introverted HSPs find ourselves alone a lot. We like being alone. And some of us have a bit of social anxiety, or we just don't feel like being around other people or going out occasionally. But this is dangerous because HSPs really, really need to have people in their lives that fulfill their emotional needs. This is so, so essential and crucial to finding a stasis of peace. Sometimes when I'm feeling kind of down, I like to think that I'm an island and I don't need other people, but that's 100% wrong. We must have kindred spirits we feel connections with, that we can share our honest feelings, worries, and reciprocate that with that friend as well. Like I said before, when I have a great conversation with someone, I feel like I'm on a high afterwards. I'm so emotionally and mentally fulfilled. Now, conversely, HSPs, because we have so much empathy and we're good listeners, we tend to be fiercely loyal friends. When I have someone in my life that I feel is a kindred spirit, I'm not going to let them go. When I moved across the country, there was no way I was going to let my best female friendship die, even though my friends sort of pessimistically thought that it would, because when people move away, that's frequently what happens. They lose touch. But I wasn't going to let that happen. The friendship meant too much to me. Plus, it just wasn't the right thing to do to let a friendship fizzle out like that. On the other hand, I also want to tell you that it's okay to let friendships go that are not with people who are kindred spirits. Now hear me out here. Perhaps you have people in your life that you consider friends, but when you really dig down deep, you actually don't really enjoy being around them. Maybe over the years you've both changed, which is completely okay. We all change. It is okay to let friends or acquaintances go who do not add anything to your life, or vice versa. Maybe you don't feel like you add much to their lives either. It sounds cold to say, oh, you should let people go who you aren't getting anything from. But honestly, what is friendship? Why waste energy and time being with people you don't have a connection with? Especially if those friends are toxic or even harming your happiness in some way. It's okay to move on. It doesn't mean you're saying there's anything wrong with them or anything wrong with you. You're just different. Having kindred spirits who can meet your emotional needs is totally essential to a sensitive person. If you feel really lonely and alone in your life at certain points, I'm willing to bet it's because you're missing at least one kindred spirit who can be there for you and let you know you're not alone and let you feel that camaraderie and that deep connection. We need to have people around us who understand. My deepest feelings and emotions come out with people that I really connect with because it feels safe. With kindred spirits, I know that that person cares and they won't judge me and I won't judge them. There are no ulterior motives in that friendship, and you'll be loyal to each other because you each share the same care for each other. It's not a one-sided friendship. And when I have friends like this, I will do almost anything for them. I will do everything I can to be the best friend I can be. When I am with someone and I feel that connection, it means something so deep, so profound and important and heavy and essential. So my point today is to tell you that it's okay to let go of friendships that are toxic or that wear you out or that don't add anything to your life or the other person's life. Don't feel obligated to continue to be a friend to someone you don't want to be friends with anymore. We all change, and it's okay to let people go. We only have so much energy, so try to find some kindred spirits, people with whom you have a deep connection that can help you meet your emotional needs. And when you find those people, don't let them go. Another great thing about kindred spirits is that they will usually reciprocate their excitement about also having found you as a friend. They will always be there for you. Thanks for listening. If you enjoy the show, please leave a review on iTunes. Check out my holiday gift guide for highly sensitive people and introverts at highlysensitiveperson.net. And tune in next Tuesday for another episode.